Now we move on to the next segment of the bulletin, On the Table with Otto. Over to you, Otto.
Good evening and welcome to On the Table, where we discuss on current issues making the news. I'm Otto Othman. Now with us on the program tonight, joining via a Zoom call, is Nusantara Academy and for Strategic Research Senior Fellow Associate Professor Dr. Azmi Hassan, who would share some insights on the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Now, Professor, first and foremost, why is it difficult to agree on a ceasefire? And is it because of the hostages? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the ceasefire itself is going to be very difficult because the Israeli wanted to continue bombing Hamas because by that strategy, they believe that Hamas can be defeated. So even though there are a few days of pause, it will give time for Hamas to regroup. That's what the Israeli believe. Even for humanitarian pause, just to bring aid to the people of Gaza, even that it needs 4 times for the resolution to be agreed upon in the Security Council of the United Nations. Only a few days ago, it has been agreed. And that's only humanitarian pause. And even that, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu would not agree with that. So it's not because of the hostages, but because of the Hamas. The Israel doesn't want to give any leverage to Hamas so that they can regroup.
Now, is it public knowledge that not only Muslims, but Christians and other faiths are affected in this conflict? Is it safe to say that this has been a territorial dispute? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it is a territorial dispute in this case, but it's a very sensitive territorial dispute. Even though you said that just now, it's not only Muslim. Yes, there are Christian, but it is Palestinian. It is Arab with the Israeli. So we cannot equate territorial dispute in the South China Sea, for example. South China Sea, we can say that it is a pure territorial dispute. But in case of what's happening right now in Palestine or in Gaza or in the West Bank, it is about religion. It is about history long time ago that contained in the Quran, that contained in the Torah. I think that's why we cannot say that even though not only Muslims are involved in this case, they are Jew, they are Christian, but again, it goes beyond territorial dispute. It goes beyond what is happening on the ground. So it is a very sensitive issue, especially for the Palestinians.
Now, Prof, do you think the majority of Palestinians are in favor of the two-state solution? Since you've mentioned about territorial disputes, do you think there will be a solution to this?
Well, talking about one-state solution, two-state solution, even among the Palestinians, even Hamas, they said only one-state solution is the solution. But if you ask me personally, here, from my point of view, two-state solution is the best option for the Palestinian. Yes, Israel doesn't have the right to exist there because it's not their land, but according to the status quo, what's happening on the ground, two-state solution is the solution. Then there need to be a big compromise here from the Israeli part, from the Palestinian part. But two-state solution it is, but it must be, the border must be before, pre the 1967 war. All the Palestinians that has been pushed out during the Nakba in 1948 are allowed to come back to the original place. And also the East Jerusalem or Batu Maqdis Timur should be the city for the Palestinian. And Gaza and the West Bank should be connected physically, not right now, which is disconnected. So I think that's the best solution, a two-state solution. But of course, a lot of Palestinians want a one-state solution, but I think it is not viable at this particular juncture.
Interesting. Thank you very much for that explanation. Now, we have the Palestinian Authority under Fatah and Gaza is under Hamas rule. Now, will we ever see both authorities work hand in hand for a united Palestine?
Yes, I think 3 years ago, Fatah and Hamas nearly came together to form the unity government. But again, in 2006, Hamas won the election in Gaza. I think Hamas got 75 seats, Fatah got 45 seats. After that, Hamas get rid or shove off Fatah from Gaza. So right now, Fatah via the Palestinian Authority is administrating the Gaza, the West Bank, and Mahmoud Abbas is the president. Now the problem is the people, whether the people of Gaza or the people of West Bank really want the Palestinian Authority, that's another question, a big question there. Because currently, Israeli, the Americans are trying to form a new government post-Hamas. And the most likely candidate will be the Palestinian Authority. But I'm not sure whether the people of Gaza will accept Palestinian Authority as their government. But yes, of course, to answer your question, we are really hoping that Fatah and Hamas can get together. But the problem is, Hamas, in the eyes of the European, in the eyes of the American, are terrorist group. They recognize Palestinian Authority. Now that's where the problem there is going to be very difficult for them, Fatah and Hamas, to be merged together.
I see. All right. Now, what about the health and medical system and the risk of disease and epidemics outbreaks spread in Gaza after seeing the Al-Shifa hospital being raided? The situation will definitely get worse. What are your thoughts on that?
Before the war began, Gaza, which is not that big, I think is the biggest slum area, is the most congested area. The medical facility is all depending on outside help. Now, with the war, with the attack on all the hospital, I think the situation in Gaza is something is very, very dire. Even the basic necessity. We are not talking about medical facilities. We are talking about water, food. The United Nations for Human Rights has said that the situation is going to be, is already worse. It's worsening. So it is disheartening to see that infant, children, 4,000 of them have died up to now to be at this particular juncture. So I'm really hoping that after the humanitarian pause, yesterday there was agreed during the meeting in United Nations Security Council, medical aid, not only medical aid, but basic necessities can be brought and be given to the Gaza people.
Thank you for that, Professor. Now, medical aid is still facing difficulties entering Gaza via Rafah. Now, this has always been the case when there's a conflict in that region. And what do you think on that?
Well, when we're talking about Rafah entry point, we always blame the Egypt. Yes, Egypt controlled the Rafah entry point. But again, after Egypt into Gaza, it's the Israeli that are controlling. The problem with the aid, the trucks that cannot go through or limitedly be given permission to go through, it's not because of the Egypt, not because of Cairo. It is because of Israel. They are so afraid, they are so phobia that the aid will be, the Hamas will be taking over the aid, not the people of Gaza. So it is very, very difficult. I don't blame the Egyptian, I don't blame the Egypt government, but I blame the Israeli because giving this and that condition to make it very difficult for aid to come into Gaza.
Now, Prof, let's go back to the territorial dispute over here. Now, do you think that it is because of its current leadership that this war has already started from back in the days? Do you think that leadership should be changed, or should there be a different way of approaching this kind of issue?
Well, talking about leadership, I'm not sure what you meant by leadership. I'm taking the Israeli leadership. Okay, let me take the current Prime Minister Netanyahu. The government that Netanyahu is heading is a very extreme government, far left, far right. Even what the Minister of Defense, I'm not sure, not the Minister of Defense, I think the Minister of Internal Home Affairs believe that Palestine shouldn't exist. So when you have a minister in the cabinet believe that the Palestine shouldn't exist, is going to be very difficult. So if you ask me whether we should blame the Hamas leadership or whether we should blame the Israeli leadership, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think we should blame the Israeli leadership in this case because there is no tolerance on their part. There is no give and take on their part. They think that the Palestinians shouldn't exist where they are now. I think that's the crux of the problem now.
Now, there are people who are actually considering it's not Israel that's the issue. It could be the Zionist regime that's at issue. We can see that there are tons of people around the world across both Jews and Muslims and even Christians that join in when it comes to genocidal, they disagree with genocidal incidents in Israel, in Palestine right now. So do you think that it is nothing to do with the religion issue, but it's more towards the ideology towards that? What do you think?
Yes, it is true that, forgive me if I equate Zionism to the Israeli government, but I think that's the thinking that I'm having right now. The problem is that the Zionism ideology. I think that's the big issue here. Now look at the United States. There are protests in the United States, pro-Palestine protests, and these protests, not only from the pro-Palestine protest, but also from the Jewish group. Because they say, no, do not use their name for the Zionists or for the Israeli government to do what they are doing now in the Gaza Strip. So I guess, yes, there are Jewish community that do not support the current Israeli government because the current Israeli government, as I mentioned before, it is too extreme. They just cannot have a give and take attitude here. But again, yes, we do not equate the Jewish people and the Zionist ideology. It is a totally different thing here. And also the same thing that we cannot equate terrorism and Islam. Not all Islam are terrorists. I do not equate that. The similar thing that Zionists and also the Jewish. So I guess we need some clarity here. But the most important thing is that give and take and tolerance and to understand each other.
All right, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much, Professor. Now, that's all the time that we have for On the Table tonight. It's back to you.
Thank you, Otto and Professor Azmi, for the valuable insights. We have reached the end of our bulletin tonight, wrapping up with a recap of our top story. Abandonment of moral responsibility causes Gaza crisis. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm SAHIH Samsudin, Malaysia Madani, tekad perpaduan penuhi harapan. Thank you for watching.